When employers first set up a health reimbursement arrangement, or HRA, they often wonder if there's a required timeframe for reimbursing their employees' health expenses. Likewise, employees want to know how long they have before they need to submit their health expenses for approval. As a rule of thumb, reimbursement deadlines are defined by the HRA plan documents you draft when you first set up the benefit. However, to save you the trouble, we've rounded up 4 of the most important deadlines you'll need to pay attention to in order to stay on top of your organization's HRA. First, let's talk about the reimbursement deadline for employers. During the normal life of the plan, organizations usually must reimburse an expense within 90 days of approval. The life of the plan, also known as a benefit year, is based on the specific length of time an organization set up their plan to run for. This date range is included in your plan documents. A typical benefit year spans 12 months, but it can be shorter or longer depending on how you choose to set up your HRA. For example, an organization may set up its first benefit year to run from August through December and then make subsequent years run from January to December. Next, let's go over expense submission deadlines for eligible employees. Typically, eligible employees can submit expenses for reimbursement anytime during the benefit year. For example, if the benefit year begins in January and ends in December, employees can submit expenses through the end of December, and perhaps 90 days beyond that if the plan includes a run-out period. But more on that later. It's a good idea for employees to submit expenses shortly after they incur them, mostly because the plan document requires employees to submit formal documentation or proof of their expenses, like an invoice, explanation of benefits, or a receipt, along with their reimbursement requests. The longer your employee waits to submit their expense, the more likely they are to lose track of that written proof. Without any kind of proof, they won't be able to get their purchases reimbursed. Depending on the type of HRA you offer, any money left in the account might expire at the end of the benefit year, meaning employees lose out on their benefit if they miss the deadline. As an employer, it's a good idea to communicate early and often when deadlines for submitting health expenses for reimbursement are coming up. That way, your employees don't miss out on using their HRA to the fullest. There are also expense submission deadlines for newly ineligible employees. In some cases, you need to reimburse expenses after an employee becomes ineligible for benefits. An employee may lose plan eligibility when they leave their job, are terminated, or have a change in insurance status. Whatever the reason, employees have 90 days after they lose eligibility to submit expenses for reimbursement. However, in order to qualify for reimbursement, the employee must have incurred the expense during the time they were eligible for the HRA. Finally, there are reimbursement deadlines for after the plan year ends. Similar to the rule put in place when an employee loses eligibility, employees have 90 days to submit expenses for reimbursement after a benefit year ends. An employee must have incurred the expense during the benefit year in order to qualify for reimbursement. Depending on the plan documents, the organization may allow a grace period, also known as a run-out period, for reimbursement. For example, it might extend its reimbursement deadline by 90 days past the benefit year, giving employees a 90-day run-out period in which they can still submit expenses. An HRA is a great way for organizations to offer a personalized and flexible health benefit to their employees, but it's your job to make sure important deadlines don't pass you by. If you use an HRA administrative software like PeopleKeep, you and your employees don't have to keep track of these deadlines on your own. At PeopleKeep, our award-winning customer support team helps thousands of organizations administer their own HRA every day, and we'd love to help you too. Tap below to subscribe and get more health benefit updates like this. If you're interested in an HRA for your organization, visit PeopleKeep.com to learn how we can help you get started.